Clean gets rid of dirt and grime and grease in just a minute.
Mr. Clean will clean your whole house and everything that's in it. Can he clean a kitchen sink?
Quicker than a wink.
Can he clean a window sash?
Faster than a flash.
Can he clean a dirty mirror?
He'll make it bright and clearer.
Can he clean a diamond ring?
Mr. Clean cleans anything.
Mr. Clean gets rid of dirt and grime and grease in just a minute.
Mr. Clean will clean your whole house and everything that's in it. Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean.
In the 1950s, the media perpetuated the image of the suburban housewife who was designed to serve in a purely domestic capacity. Women were portrayed as subordinate to their husbands in television and cinema. Advertisements directed at women focused on domestic products, and women were directed in magazines and in print to focus mainly on home economics. From an early age, women were stripped of their aspirations of higher education, and society told them that a woman's place was in the home, supporting a husband and family unit. Women were not encouraged to pursue anything further. Those that attempted to do so were vilified and ridiculed for deviating from the norm. Much of this return to domestic tranquility was a direct result of the end of World War II. In the wake of the end of World War II and the beginning of the Cold War and Red Scares of the 1950s, Americans were eager to maintain conformity within the household. The nation, in response to the external threat of communism and the internal witch hunt for communist sympathizers, wanted to embrace the national ideals of a capitalistic and virtualistic society. At a time of national political unwill, the nation clung to these ideals of a happy household, with strictly defined gender roles. In an article by Elaine Tyler May, this approach illuminates the domestic revival as two sides of the same coin: post-war Americans' intense need to feel liberated from the past and secure in the future. This secure America was contained from the outside vague omnipresence of Soviet Russia and the internal McCarthyism. During the 1950s, television replaced radio as the primary means of bringing pop culture content into the homes of mainstream America. In a sense, the television shows of the decade were designed for women to model their own lives and homes on. These portraits of the veneer of suburban utopia guided women to focus not on upward mobility or their own interests, but on trivial domestic tasks and approved female interests, such as PTA meetings or dinner parties. Television shows such as Leave It to Beaver, Ozzie and Harriet, Father Knows Best, and The Donna Reed Show reinforced and perpetuated the housewife stereotype. In these programs, the family consisted of a breadwinning father, a housewife, and 2 or 3 mild-mannered children. These programs illuminated gender roles in the 1950s. From an article by Robert Buca, these television portrayals were essentially stand-ins for their real-life counterparts. These programs provided American culture at large with what would become its prevailing vision of suburbia, centered on harmonious family and community life. Such programs envisioned the suburbs as both an idealized and insular landscape. And again, at the center of the household were the static gender roles that defined American suburbia in the 1950s.
Coffee, dear? Ricky, you want some more coffee? Are your eggs all right, dear? Are your eggs? How are your eggs, Lucy? Oh, they're just fine, thank you. Would you care for some more coffee? Oh, no, thanks. It's just right, thank you. You're a wonderful cook. Oh, do you really think so? Oh, thank you. Would you care for sugar in your coffee? Oh, well, thank you. Don't mind if I do. You are back there, aren't you?
Perhaps the most well-known representation of gender roles in the 50s was I Love Lucy. Here, the main female character, Lucille Ball, would find numerous creative ways to create havoc and would require her husband's assistance to rid herself of the situation. She was the prototypical, hopeless housewife of the 1950s.
What's so tough about earning a living? Yeah.
Have you ever done it?
No, but I could.
Ha!
I could, too.
Listen, holding down a job is a lot more difficult than lying around the house all day long.
Is that all you think we do?
Yeah.
Well, now, let's be fair, Rick. Every once in a while, they get up and play canasta.
Advertisements aimed at women in the 1950s were entirely based upon the idea that a woman should aspire no further than to remain in the home and to raise a family. Commercials mainly concerned hair products, makeup, and cleaning supplies. In an article by Shore, he notes that, by 1950, the amount of capital equipment in the home had risen dramatically. Many labor-saving devices had also come into vogue. Automatic washing machines and dryers, electric irons, vacuum cleaners, refrigerators and freezers, and garbage disposals. The advertisements in the 1950s encouraged women to aspire only to own the latest in home technology. In Elaine Tyler May's article, Americans believe that affluence, consumer goods, satisfying sex, and children would strengthen their families, enabling them to steer clear of potential disruptions. In pursuing their quest for the good life, they adhere to traditional gender roles and prized marital stability.
Never before a lipstick so red. An exciting new lipstick. New Viv, in 6 of the most vivid reds any woman has ever worn. One shade is redder than a fire engine. Another shade is redder than a rose. Exciting new Viv. Viv shades, from pink to plum, look brighter, more lustrous, because a new way has been found to give depth of color to lipstick. And Viv's bright color stays on. Viv is the comfortable, long-lasting lipstick, never drying. Viv keeps your lips soft, moist, smooth. Choose your favorite from 6 vivid shades. Try Viv on your own lips. See what Viv, the really vivid lipstick, can do for you. Never before a lipstick so red. New Viv, the comfortable, long-lasting lipstick.
Consider this excerpt from a housekeeping magazine in the 1950s entitled The Good Wife's Guide. There are several goals here designed to foster domestic tranquility. For example, women are encouraged to prepare the children, take a few minutes to wash the children's hands and faces, comb their hair, and if necessary, change their clothes. Also, they're told to listen to him. You may have done a dozen important things to tell him, but the moment of his arrival is not the time. Let him talk first. Remember, his topics of conversation are more important than yours. Don't greet him with complaints and problems. Arrange his pillow and offer to take off his shoes. Speak a low, soothing, and pleasant voice. And finally, a good wife always knows her place. In conclusion, women were often relegated to domestic lifestyles in the 1950s, which was definitely an image reinforced and perpetuated by the media and pop culture at the time. Women were encouraged and raised to be housewives. A successful woman was only one who kept a clean home, raised respectful and obedient children, and existed solely to serve her husband.